Hello, everybody. Welcome to The Pursuit. I'm your host, Ben Spangle. Good to have you back for another episode today. You know, at the show, we're all about your best body, mind, spirit, and life. And so today you're going to be in for a treat. I've got Vinny Crispino with me, founder of Pain Academy. And I was looking into you guys. You guys have a big following with what you're doing. It's pretty cool to see what you guys have done. Vinny's got a really neat story that we're going to be diving into. And, Pain Academy is all about really healing the body. Which is, and we'll talk about several different levels on that. Vinny, first of all, thanks for being on the show. Appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's good to have you. I want to jump into your story because I know a little bit about it, not a lot, but you've broken your back 2 separate times.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're going to avoid the third.
For sure. So yeah. I feel like you're probably very equipped more than most people to know pain first and foremost. And then I can't wait to hear how you transformed it and everything. So why don't we start with that? Tell us a bit about you, your background, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. So I'll give you a little backstory before I broke my back. I was a collegiate Division I swimmer and had, 8-time All-American, 30 plus Colorado state records, 16 wow. national titles. I was quite competent when it came to athletics in the water. Couldn't do anything on land. But when it came to water, I excelled at that.
Yeah.
So my upbringing was kind of this elite athletic performance. And I'd always felt like this really capable human being. And I got really tired of swimming, really burnt out from just doing the same thing again and again. I just couldn't swim up and down lane in a pool one more time. So I got really burnt out with swimming, and I still had this huge love for the water. And so I kind of naturally looked at, well, what other water sports are there out there? And I was naturally gravitated towards surfing. But where I was, which was the University of Wyoming, there aren't good waves there. There's no ocean. So I had to make a change in my life and location. And I sold everything I had, moved out to California with just the arrogance of, why wouldn't I be a pro surfer? It was the mindset of course I'm going to go do this. And this is now my life. Yeah. So I grew my hair out. I got the board shorts. I tried to look the part as soon as possible.
Yeah.
I could paddle out into the waves very well. I was a strong swimmer, but man, my surfing skills were not there. And it didn't really take too long until my ego kind of got put into check. Paddled out for a wave set that was significantly beyond my capacity to handle. And I wiped out and my back hit a rock and I broke my back. It was a T12 fracture and a mess of soft tissue damage from there. And, really in the literally blink of an eye, I went from just feeling invincible, right? Never really dealt with adversity with my body. Never really ran into injuries outside of the occasional, just maybe a little shoulder tendonitis just from repetitive use. But other than that, it was a clean bill of health. Yeah. And in a moment, it was such a complete 180 pivot in life. And this was in my early 20s. So I broke my back surfing, and I did what so many people do, the right things to do. You go through the system and you go through Western medicine and you meet with surgeons, you meet with experts, and you try to get as far as you can. And I spent years going through just the various methods, PT, acupuncture, chiropractic, massage, looking at the gurus online, trying to figure out who's got the magic keys to the kingdom of becoming pain-free again. And, it really wasn't until after years of failing. And this is even after my back had healed, right? The fracture was healed, the herniations healed. I was still living in a state of disability. I still couldn't bend forward to tie my shoes. Going up and down stairs was a massive negotiation in my mind. Do I really want what's at the top of those stairs, or can I just not and avoid it?
Just because it hurts so much.
Yeah, it would just always lead to a flare up. And every step, it was just wincing your way through life.
Wow.
And eventually I had enough, and I decided I needed to participate a little bit more in my own rescue. And so I fully invested into the field of fitness and corrective exercise. I got certifications, and I started to, I thought maybe if I just learn more about this, I can solve this problem myself. I was running out of money. I was running out of time, and things weren't getting better. So I just kind of put the responsibility fully on my shoulders to figure this thing out. And started to find some answers. And the more answers I found, the more it worked for me, the more I started to gravitate towards wanting to help others. And they started to feel better and tell their friends and family. And then this following just grew. And this turned into what started out with my own story of healing my body and making a comeback story has now turned into some 4,000 people doing the same thing. It's
Wow.
pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Amazing. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I know you guys, 4,000 people that you've helped. And I know there's another 250,000 people that are watching your stuff all the time in the
it's a lot, man.
So it's probably way more people you've helped than you realize even too, right? Just from that exposure. I think what's interesting is, all of us face different challenges in our life. Some are physical, right? Where it's pain like that. And some are more mental and some are, whatever, it could be career. What you did, and I think this is what all successful people have in common, is you, at some point you said, all right, this is up to me. This is up to me. I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to find the answers I need. And I found that every successful person I've ever met in my life is they all share the belief is I'll figure it out. I'll find a way.
Yeah. And, I actually just got off of listening to one of your episodes about belief. And that's really what this was. Even after I broke my back, trying to go through the system, I didn't really believe that I could get better through the system. It was just, maybe it was denial. I don't know if it was belief or denial. Maybe those two work very close hand in hand sometimes.
Yeah.
But once I started to have access to all this information, I was going through the process. I was doing the exercises every day. I was in my mind checking off kind of the bare minimum of what I needed to do. But I was inconsistent. I was Mr. Start and Stop. The days that I was in pain, I didn't do things. The days that I felt good, I didn't do things. It was so touch and go for the longest time that nothing really changed until about 5 years in, where I finally realized I haven't actually committed to making the change. I've talked about it. I've complained about it. I've used my back pain as like this excuse to not go do things and to hide behind it, and almost as like a safety mechanism of guaranteed failure, as opposed to trying and then failing, right? I've set up all these very protective things, but if I'm really being honest, I never actually made the decision to change my life because I didn't believe I could.
Wow. So was it just enough's enough that you changed the belief, or what was the specifically circumstances that said, all right, I'm doing this?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of variables. There was the enough is enough. But I was also kind of I was lying to myself. I was thinking I was doing enough, and I had convinced myself that I'd been trying this for years. The story that I was committed to was more powerful than the reality of what I was actually doing. It was the woe is me every single time I felt pain, or every time I started or stopped. It was this commitment to what was not actually serving me. And that all changed. And I don't know what the trigger was. It was just a moment of clarity that I actually haven't given this everything I have. And here I am getting frustrated at the results, the lack of results. I'm years, almost a decade after breaking my back, still unable to do anything, still not able to work out or play with my kids. I never made the commitment to get better. I just wanted to get better. And there's a massive difference.
Massive difference.
It's massive.
Yeah. I think it's interesting as I'm hearing your story about that, and how you said you were committed to the story of woe is me, and how we all at times, I mean, we certainly, we get stuck in kind of that victim mentality at times, right? And, you can be a victim or you can be happy, but you don't get to be both. You can be a victim or you can be healthy, but you don't get to be both, and all of that stuff. And it's interesting how you shifted that, right? You really shifted it. So what have you found? I mean, you've helped a lot of people, and what have you found? Is it for a lot of them, they haven't put the commitment in to make the change if their pain isn't healing? Or what have you found have been the common ingredients of those that you've helped? All right, their life's transforming.
Yeah, it's a great question. There are people who have taken action to make a change, but they are not ready and willing to make a change in their life. Right. So what it actually takes to make a change is first of all, nothing's going to happen unless you actually believe that you can get better. If you can't believe that you can do this thing and overcome this, it doesn't matter if I give you God's gift to corrective exercise and the answers for what will help your body change. If that belief is not there, nothing's going to happen. So it first takes a belief. You have to have a little bit of faith, which is really hard when you've been in pain for 1, 2, 5, 10, 20 years, that you can actually get better. Outside of the belief, it takes physical tools. It takes movement. Sometimes people have the belief that they can get better, but they're missing the actual tools to change their physiology. What are the movements and positions and exercises to give my body on a daily basis that actually elicits a change? And a program that helps you get those changes, right? So that's a second missing thing. But you can have the belief that you can get better. You can have the exercises to help you get better. The third thing, and this is what was missing for a very long time for me, was the mindset. And you could be doing the exercises every day. You could believe that you're getting better, but your attachment to the story that you've been telling yourself will either set you free from this problem or keep you circling this thing for years. And my own personal, I love how you started this talking about, sometimes it's about the mind, sometimes it's about the body. When I broke my back and I saw the physical break on the X-ray machine, right, that little light up board, I had associated this problem to be mechanical. It's physical. My back was literally broken. And for years, when people would say, you got to work on your mindset, your emotions have a lot to do with this, I would always get so defensive and say, no, they don't. My back's broken. It's the physical's the problem.
Right.
And I never learned how I was sabotaging my results. I never learned how when I would feel pain, I wouldn't just feel the pain that I was feeling in that moment. It was immediately followed with my identity and my story. My back was broken. I can't do this. My back pain. There's so much identity wrapped up into my story that this thing happened to me. I didn't willfully choose to break my back. I was immediately put in a victim position. And I was trying to do every exercise through that frame of being a victim. And I would reject what I would feel. I would fight it. I would resist it. And there was no shift in perspective. So for years, the exercises that didn't work, all of a sudden started to work because my frame of mind changed. My relationship to what actually happened changed.
I love we're talking about this, brother. I had no idea that we were going to end up going this direction, but I'm all about the stories we tell ourselves. Our stories become our reality. And, what Vinny talked about, everybody, with the story you're telling yourself around your identity, my back pain, my injury, I've heard people talk lots about, because of my illness or because of my condition, and identifying with. And I think what you're saying is, if you're going to continue to identify with it, you're going to continue to carry it. And if we can learn to break free of that. So give people a shift, a mental shift then. So part of the mindset is, okay, I'm recognizing that. So maybe they're talking about, may not be a health thing, but it's their struggles financially or business wise, or perhaps anything like that. And my struggles or my challenges. So what would you tell people? What's the shift then? So I'm no longer going to say my back pain. I'm no longer going to identify this. What is it? I mean, the pain's still there. So what do you do?
You got to create a little bit of space between you and the story. So the first thing is recognizing how often the story actually shows up, because we can't change a problem unless we have the awareness so we can see it clearly.
100%.
So the first thing is understanding how often this inner dialogue is actually showing up. And the first step is just recognizing, oh, there I go again. I'm injecting my back pain. I'm not thinking about it as a sensation. I'm thinking about it's in the way of me playing with my kid. It's in the way of me being able to work and sit down at my job. I can't be intimate with it's just recognizing, when does it go from just a sensation to the story? And in seeing that, we have to start using language to change our relationship to the story. So it is no longer my back pain. I don't own it. It's not a part of me. It's the back pain. It is the shoulder that hurts. It's not my injured shoulder. When we can take the my out of it and separate just a little bit and almost talk about this problem as if we're not in it and entangled in it, but just kind of looking at it with somebody else. When you can kind of change your position slightly, what that does is it opens up the space immediately for change.
Interesting.
There are so many times, not only in my story, but in the thousands of people that I've helped or have worked with individually, we have the ability to heal and change. But when we make the story ours and it's my story, what happens is change can be a very scary thing for people. So they will actually sabotage, they'll be inconsistent. They will repeat the patterns that keep the pain around because it's theirs. They aren't ready. Their identity is not ready to change. And when you start talking to people and you say, well, who are you without this back pain? Because there's such an absence of what the answer is, the default is, well, I'm just the guy with back pain. And it becomes a part of you that you've got to learn to shed that story. Have to.
So good. So good. And you can apply that to anything. I know we're talking physical pain, but the struggles that you're facing in your life, the identity to it is what continues to repeat it. Right. And I know what you're talking about is that everybody has the ability to heal. And, I believe we can apply that to any area. Everybody has the ability to become abundant and prosperous. Everybody has the ability to become wealthy. Everybody has the ability to succeed in their careers the way that they want to. The stories, though, of why you're not is the greater problem than probably anything else, right? So it's just awesome. I want to circle back to something that we talked a little bit about. You talked about how, you looked at your back pain and your broken back as a physical thing, not the emotional thing. And I mean, one of the things that we know today is that our emotions play a heavy influence on our physical body, right? Emotions are biochemical reactions in our body. So when we're stressed, extensive stress can cause illness. Extensive stress can cause decay. Extensive stress can cause, I'm sure, in the healing world, very delayed, if little to no healing. So with your experience, if we know that's true, if that, okay, a thought can make me stressful and then stress can cause illness, the opposite must be true too, that there must be some more empowering emotions. What are you noticing in all the people you're helping as they start to get that straight? Tell us a bit, maybe even share a recovery story or two, or something that shifted in their life that way, and the healing was so much quicker than perhaps.
So first of all, we use our body to communicate body language, right? Without any training, we could take 1,000 people and put them in a room and ask all of these 1,000 people to play the role of a king or a queen. The first thing people are going to do without any training is they're going to change their body position.
That's right.
Just like you literally just did. Yeah. We are going to change the position of our body to elicit an emotion.
Right.
So it's not that far to think that emotion and posture and movement are directly correlated. People in this program who are doing this, when we change the position of their body, we are, in essence, changing emotion. And we are giving people a sense of using the body's position to elicit and work through the trauma or whatever they've been through in their life. Some people doing these movements will start laughing randomly. There's nothing funny. I'm not a funny guy. I didn't tell a joke. Or they'll start crying, or they'll start shaking, or they'll think of that one time that somebody did something to them that they haven't thought about in years. We're using position to change emotion. And the same thing is true too. When you're anxious or tense, let's say your boss is on your case or something, and you're rigid, being able to understand how these emotions, why am I holding my breath right now? Why are my abs excessively engaged? Why, when I'm stressed, do I sit more towards my right hip? How does my physical body react to these emotions? And when we deal with people in chronic pain who have muscles hypertonic, they won't let go, they're always stressed out. The question is not if there's a mental and emotional play on it. It's really how much is this being acknowledged and addressed. So there have been so many times where people have gone to psychotherapy sessions and they've worked through it. Maybe they're less anxious and they'll have a breakthrough in their movement routine afterwards. Maybe something that wasn't possible for them, just by entering it with a different mind state, they're now much more capable of doing it. In the program that I have, I've got this 30-day meditation where I am very carefully in a linear fashion teaching people to change their relationship to pain. My expectation is this is done 5 to 10 minutes before we even go do movement. Because if we can't change the frame of the mind, sometimes it's really hard to change the frame of the body. So there's just so many examples of this happening time and time and time again.
I think that's so cool. I love that you're doing that before they're going into the session, as they're doing the meditation. And we teach a lot of our teammates, and they're in a sales or recruiting thing, to take some time to actually see the outcome that they want to create, and visualization, meditation before they go into an appointment. And so it's so cool. So amazing. I want to jump in. I know we were talking about this before we started recording, and the process to make changes in the body. We were talking briefly about it, and what I understood from you is I know that we live as a society in very much microwave thinking, right? I want everything now. I want to buy all that I want right now and pay later. I want to learn how I can go from $0 in income to 20,000 a month in the next 2 months. I
want it in 1 month.
1 month.
Is way
That's
too
right.
long.
That's
1
right.
month. You got 30 days.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. Do this for the next 7 days, you're healed. And I mean, logically, most people know that's not the case, right? We certainly understand that, but let's talk a bit about the process.
Yeah. So this is no different than investing. It is not a big bang of all of a sudden you're going to have wealth. There is a gradual process that it doesn't matter if you're in finance, doesn't matter if you're in business, if you're in the field of physical therapy like I am, the gradual path will always yield the best results. And your relationship to that gradual path will determine what kind of results you get. There has been this, I call it McHealing. It's like the westernized version of what healing is. Heal your back with these 3 exercises. Buy this one product and they'll snap you into place. And they'll show these very spontaneous things that create these very spontaneous results. And sometimes these things are true. Sometimes an adjustment just makes us feel better. But fast results, they happen fast. They also go away fast too, especially when it comes with the body. The biggest challenge that I have, so for reference, my program is a minimum of 52 weeks long.
Okay. Yeah.
A minimum.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is the minimum time it actually takes to make a change in the body.
Right.
You might feel a change in the first couple of days. Your nervous system could immediately start responding and adapting, because it does.
Yeah.
But I make this process so clear that I do not want you to expect results within the first year. To set the mindset that this is a process, this will take time. If the results come, great. But this isn't a let's heal your back pain in 30 days. That it's not only unethical, but that's not how the body works. And the more information that's out there about heal your back pain with this, fix your hip dysfunction in these 3 easy steps, it's further continuing the narrative that healing should be radical and it should be spontaneous.
Right.
And it's further dividing us from actually seeing what does it take to be successful. What it takes to be successful with the body is no different than the same thing it takes to be successful as an investor. You have to control your emotions, right? If the market dips, if you're not looking at this as a gradual process and you wanted a quick buck, you're going to panic and you're going to pull out very fast. I did that the first couple of times the market dipped as I was an investor. There's got to be a commitment to a process that's greater than the results you're trying to get.
Right.
And it's only when you make that commitment do things actually really start to change internally. And when there's been so many times that people have come to me and said, Vinny, I'm at my last straw. I need help. And I always ask, what have you done? And the answers are usually always the same. I've done PT for this long, chiro for this long.
Right.
But the common denominator with everybody is it's only been a couple months. They've only done what they've done a couple times. And for some reason, people think that's enough.
Yeah.
And maybe they actually would have gotten the results if they just continued doing everything they were doing. It's possible.
Right.
The body's brilliant at healing.
Yeah.
The problem is when we are not committed to a process, we will jump ship if something doesn't happen ambiguously to what our expectation of how long something should heal is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So the process will set you free.
Nice. I love it. I had a couple thoughts that popped in my mind as you were saying it. One is that there's a massive myth, and I don't know who came up with it, but in the personal development space, it takes 21 days to build a habit. That is so not true.
So not true.
Like there's lots of stuff I've done for 3 weeks that did not stay with me remotely close. And it obviously depends on what you're doing. Something simpler, maybe it's, a couple of months, but for serious stuff, I mean, it's going to take time. And the thought that dawned on me, I think why what you're teaching is so powerful is this: everybody wants the quick fix, but it really doesn't exist. I like what you said. If it comes fast, it's probably going to go away fast. It's kind of like motivation. You can go to something, you're motivated. You're probably motivated for a couple of days, couple of weeks, but it's going to fade. Mm-hmm. And we want to learn to, tap the power within us so that we can go and create what we want in our lives. What really dawned on me though, is this idea is that, the body, if the body's been in pain for an extended period of time, just like our thoughts and our feelings and behaviors become habitual and they become a part of the subconscious component of who we are, I can imagine that pain has also become habitual. It's become a way that the body's been conditioned to live. And so if you've been living in pain for 6 months or a year or multiple years, a decade plus, and you try something for a month and maybe you do get some resolve, I mean, that month is probably not enough to change the conditioning that the body's been in. And so there's temporary relief, but no lasting. So I love what you're teaching. It's the same stuff I teach in terms of, our mindset and how we start to change our lives in any area. Is we've got to continue to work at this stuff daily.
And to build on that, if your goal is to get out of pain, you're going to be in pain for a very long time.
Explain that more.
Pain is it's a very up and down thing. It could change daily. If my goal is to get out of pain, the moment I'm out of pain, I'm going to stop doing the thing that got me out of pain. I hit my goal. Goals achieved. Mission is accomplished. If your main goal is to get out of pain, and the first month that doesn't happen, are you going to do it the second month? Probably not. Are you going to do it 6 months? If you're still in pain 6 months into something, that probably could have just taken 8 months of actually doing it to get out of pain. If pain is the main goal, that's setting yourself up for failure. Getting out of pain is just the start of what this is. Staying pain-free is what should really matter. And people are just focused on that first thing. It's no different than like, let me get $1 million. It's way different than let me keep $1 million.
100%.
It's a different mindset that's going to require different behaviors along the way. If you commit to something that's bigger than just the surface level of getting out of pain, I'm not saying that's not important. I spent half a decade living in disability. So I know on the surface, that's what I wanted most.
Right.
But what if your goal was, I want to learn how to develop a movement practice that's going to serve me over the next 30 years of my life?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you're having a high pain day or you're pain-free. When your goal is to commit to a process that will actually serve you, we aren't playing the, how are you feeling today game. We're playing the, what skills can I develop? What process and strategy and structure can I develop with my health that feels real, that I can integrate into my life on a daily basis, instead of doing this back pain program for 30 days, not integrating it. It's no different than a diet. It's no different than losing weight. If your goal is to just hit it on the scale once, that's quite a different process than how can I develop a different relationship with food, and how can I integrate better eating into my life to sustain this long term. Come hell or high water, whether that scale goes up or down, you are committed to something much greater than this kind of outside superficial goal that's so subjective and changes all the time.
That's awesome, man. I've never heard it put that way in my own life. I mean, that's not been how I've approached it. I'm fortunate and don't really deal with a lot of it. Once in a while, though, if something came up, shoulders a little tight, whatever, I'd go get a massage, get some rolfing done, get her fixed up, get a chiro adjustment if I need it, and then I'm back to living my life.
Yeah.
Not developing a practice of what is it that's going to help me stay out of that. So I think that's so good. And the word practice is so powerful. It sounds like you're a big meditator too. And I mean, you and I both know that it is a practice. There's no finish line with something like meditation. There's no finish line with personal growth. And I think what you're saying is there's no finish line with your health either in your body, right?
No. And I've gotten messages, incredible, on my account, I've got hundreds of these phenomenal before and after photos of people reversing 40-degree scoliosis. And we're talking incredible changes with their body following this program. But the question I usually get when people balance their body out is, how much longer do I keep having to do this for?
Right.
And there's always this question in my mind, which is, we don't ask that when it comes to fitness. How much longer do I have to work out to stay in shape?
Yeah.
We don't ask that when it comes to eating healthy. Like, how much longer do I have to eat healthy to be healthy?
Yeah.
But for some reason, when it comes to our body, we're almost like asking questions, already looking for the end.
Yeah.
And what I don't think I've done a great job is in showing these before and afters. I think subconsciously it shows start and end. This is how people finished.
Right.
What I need all 250,000 of my listeners and followers to hear me on is the after photo is not the finish line. It is where you get a start maintenance.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I think that's so great. So let me, I'm going to get people where they can connect with you in a minute here. But just so all our listeners and viewers have an idea too of, okay, I mean, all of this makes a lot of sense to me. When we think pain or we think of that, who would be your ideal, client or someone that, man, you should come check out what we're doing?
Anybody that has muscle imbalance.
Okay.
Anybody that has painful movement problems, they feel just stiff, limited, restricted. Anybody who wants to just do more of what they love doing with less paying the price for it later with their body. Obviously, I love the name Pain Academy, but you don't have to break your back to go learn how to actually take care of your body. So anybody that really wants to learn the skill set of how to serve their physical body on a daily basis, that's who this is for.
Perfect. And where do people get more information? So they want to learn some more?
Yeah, the most information is going to be on the Instagram at Pain Academy. Okay. If you want to learn more, go to my website, painacademy.net.
painacademy.net. All right, perfect. We'll have that in the links there too. This has been great, man. I've loved it. Different direction than I thought we were going to go at the start of the show, which I love, man. I mean, it's all up my alley, so it's phenomenal. So good. So maybe some closing remarks for people. We've talked a lot about how much your story's impacting your life and to shift your story. We've talked about the process of this. It's not a start finish, but a plan for life. And, we've talked about some of that. Is there anything else you want to leave people with that, hey, you want to improve your life when it comes to your body? Start with this.
Yeah. It's an excellent question. Outside of what we've spoken about, if, this is why I've created the program. It literally will show people exactly what to do, the steps and the tactics on how to do that. So if you recognize that you want to make a physical change to improve the quality of your life, if you're ready to change the way that you're thinking about movement and how you're relating to sensation, the very next thing to do, check out my website, check out the programs, and let me show you the exercises that you can commit to on a daily basis. Perfect. If that seems like an aggressive ask, check out any of my free content on YouTube or Instagram. Try any of the movements and just stick to it for a couple of days and watch what starts to happen. That's
perfect. That's so good. Well, you heard it right there. Go to painacademy.net, get some more information, follow Pain Academy on Instagram, there on YouTube as well. And Vinny, this has been awesome, man. I'm glad we got connected, and I love what
Likewise.
you're doing. It's always cool. You know, I noticed that everyone that builds a good company, almost everybody I notice, is a lot of their success is from their past pain in life. In your case, it was physical. In my case, as I'm building, the personal development world, a lot of it had to do with my own struggles of I was working hard, but I couldn't wrap my head around why I wasn't getting results, and then the transformation. So I love that you've gone through that yourself and created this amazing program for people. It's awesome.
I think there is so much beauty in pain. It's just, it's a gift. And once we can learn how to unwrap that, you get to go do what you and I have done, which is we now intimately know this painful problem. What lessons did it teach me? How was this a huge lesson in disguise? And how can I now serve other people who are dealing with the same pain?
Yep.
Pain is a gift. It's just a matter of if you believe that or not.
That's awesome, man. Make sure to connect with Vinny, everybody. Hey, if you're new to the show, go ahead and click subscribe, leave us a review, send Vinny a message at Pain Academy as well. And make sure to tag both of us when you're sharing this episode. Share it with a friend. I know we all have friends that are in pain. Make sure to share it with at least that one person. So Vinny, thanks for your time today.
Thanks for having me. We'll talk soon.
You bet.